Hey, how you guys doing? It's Wellness Wednesdays. I always got to give y'all my bankhead bounce. Let me adjust this. All right, there we go. All right. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. Of course, my name is Cherette, and I am with Be Healthy Now. And today I'm going to talk about connecting back with the land. I had an amazing weekend this weekend. I went to a retreat, and then today I actually went to volunteer in a garden. That was dope. So I actually, contrary to what most people think, I'm not into gardening as much as I should be. It's definitely piqued my interest here, but I got into health and wellness through the body. So my path has been a little different. And so after I got with the body, I started really dealing with food. And after I started dealing with food is when I got to like gardening and things. So I'm really just getting around to growing more food. But I really wanted to talk today about getting back to the earth and why it's so important, especially for melanated people, specifically for melanated people. Because it's just, we've really disconnected with the land in so many aspects of our lives. And when we talk about being unhealthy, if we see our disconnect from nature, that is my belief of how we repair our health to a state where we're living the good life. So this weekend I went on a retreat. It was amazing. I was invited by a very good friend who I say she's an angel, because she is. Anyway, so it was a camping trip, guys. I went on a freaking camping trip. And it was so beautiful because when I think of like camping, I don't think of like black people all over. But it was, I think it was like 20 or so black people, and we all had tents and we all like camped out on the land. It was amazing. To just sleep on the ground. Talk about a good night's sleep, y'all. So what happened was we went to like a piece of land, and it was just wide open. And so we got our tents and we set up our tents on the land, and we like camped for the weekend. So what I noticed was that, first of all, my feet do not touch the ground enough. I Most of the trip I was barefoot touching the ground. And I noticed my body alignment was way more on point. Like I didn't have as much hip pain. My lower back, like kind of, I won't say it straightened up, but it definitely, it was tight when I arrived. And sleeping on the ground and walking with my feet on the ground, it gave me like balance in my body. Also, there are so many minerals in dirt. So many minerals. So a lot of times when we talking about being healthier, really what the goal in living a healthier life is putting the correct minerals and nutrients in your body so that it functions. So your body needs a lot of things to function. Potassium, iron, vitamin B, so many things. And minerals are found in the earth in abundance. So it's one of the reasons, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, I talked about getting water from the earth. You can't see it. It just looks like clear water. But this is water from a spring. It tastes so delicious, y'all. I drink water from a spring for a few reasons. Number one, is way more affordable. If you're getting good sourced water from the store, they gonna charge your butt. Oh my gosh. Like, I think I've seen a gallon of like spring water that's naturally alkaline for like $5 or $6. It's crazy. So when I go to the spring and fill up, if there's somebody at the little tower, I'll pay $5 to pay. Excuse me, $5 to park. And after I park, I can fill up as many gallons as I want. It's a water hole. So you go to the water hole, and I love the water hole, y'all. There's usually like some elder people there, and they just talk to you about their stories and where they're from and like why they know about the spring. And so it does take a little bit more time, but I get history and I get water that's even better than the stuff that's I'm getting charged way more for in the store. So anyway, the great thing about spring water, I'd have to research well water, but since it comes from the ground, I have to automatically say that I think it would be the same. But it has minerals in it. So there is sulfur in the water, there's iron, there's magnesium. And because you get it from the actual source, as long as you take it, bottle it, take it home and store it in a cool place, you're actually able to get those minerals, and they come straight from the earth and you're able to consume them. So getting back to nature and natural things, it will automatically balance out the nutrients in your body way more significantly than if you're not getting things from a natural source. So going back to water, right? If you get a Dasani bottle, that's not a natural source of water. So the minerals and everything, they're not going to be there. So even if you're choosing water from a store, make sure you read your labels. You should see when you turn your bottle around, it should say ingredients and it'll tell you where it's sourced from. You want to get naturally sourced water so that any of the nutrients you can get, maybe it's not as much because it's been in the store and in the shelf, but it's still way better than a source that's not from nature and you're not getting the nutrient pool from that water. Anyway, when I went this weekend for the retreat, I could feel when my bare feet were in the ground, specifically on the mud too, guys. Like, if you know, like in the AM when it's when it's dewy, that's a perfect time to get your feet on the ground. So when you do that, when you put your feet on the ground, the minerals and the nutrients in the ground are actually absorbing through your feet in your body. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can't describe to you what that feels like. And if ever you have red clay has more nutrients in it than a lot of the dirt you'll see here. Really dark black grass, not grass, really dark black dirt, red clay dirt. If your dirt is colorful, put your feet on the dirt. The dirt will literally have minerals in it and it will soak up through your feet. It's the reason why if you guys ever feel sick, you can soak your feet in things and it'll help you feel better. I like to soak my feet sometimes in cayenne pepper to detox. If you're stuffy, you can soak it through like eucalyptus and things like that. And you'll actually feel your feet soaking up whatever you put them in. Same thing with the dirt, guys. So what my friend likes to say, your feet to dirt ratio needs to be on point because it's actually healthier for you to connect to the land on a level, like a physical level. So I got to experience that this weekend because all weekend I was walking on the dirt. Another thing that I got to do is in a tent, I got to sleep on the ground. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, that first night, it was a little weird, okay? My body, I woke up and it was like, whoa, what just happened? But the second, third night, like when I got in the groove and I was drinking water and feeling a little bit more relaxed, I could tell that I didn't have all these aches and pains because the ground was solid and I was able to sleep on it, but also just connecting with the ground through my sleep. We were sleeping under trees, y'all, connecting with the trees. I had dreams this weekend that I remember. I think that I'm in a state where I have suppressed a lot of my dreams and memories out of trauma. So in this state of my life, I haven't began to dream again as much as I used to. But sleeping under the tree, y'all, I was remembering things. I have a firm belief that the trees on the land are particles of our ancestors. Like if you can get with a tree, you can connect with your ancestors. And this weekend that really connected with me, like being able to connect with the tree and really just stay under there. So just the whole aspect of really getting back to the land, I feel rejuvenated. Like I feel like I went outside and I am a new person and I was just able to be renewed. So that's what the earth can do for you. Today in the garden, I got a lot from the garden. It's funny that, we always talk about like rinsing our vegetables, right? I've been doing research and dirt actually has nutrients in them, right? So I discussed that earlier, excuse me. And I was talking about how if you walk on the dirt, the nutrients in the dirt absorbs through your feet. We can absorb it through our mouth too. Who knew that, right? So back in the day, our ancestors actually used to cook with dirt. I was doing research on dirts, the minerals and the nutrients of it. And do you know what came up for me? Back in the day, Black folks used to take mud. They would make mud and they would take the ham and they would spread the mud all over the ham. And that's how they would bake it. Did y'all hear that? They were literally mud baking dishes back in the day. And the reason why is because the mud has nutrients and also a lot of our dirt has flavor to it. It's the reason why. So say I in Atlanta am growing tomatoes, right? If you over there in Sacramento, your tomatoes, we can do the exact same thing with our tomatoes. And the tomatoes are going to taste different because the earth and the nutrients that are being put into the plant, they're going to make it taste different. So it's the same thing when you are tasting it. It'll taste different because of all of the nutrients that are being put in the oil, the water, the location, the temperature, all of that brings a taste to your vegetables, number one, but also the dirt. So they would use the dirt and cook with it. There's this bothers me so much, y'all. There's this thing that was going around for a long time, like, oh, Haiti's so poor because they're eating mud cakes. Not to say that, people in Haiti should get paid way more, and it's disgusting what's going on that island because they are fighting to get those people in and off of everything. They just burn their shit. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's another story. But people in Haiti, when I went to Haiti, the one thing that I learned is that they're still people of the earth. They still are connected to the earth in so many sense. And the mud pie is the same thing. They're not necessarily over there eating mud pies because they're poor. They're doing it because they understand the nutritional value of the dirt of the land. I was in a village in a mountain, and to just see the natural occurrence of how the people lived. In Haiti, in the village, there's no light pollution. So naturally, when the sun sets, you feel the shift of the energy. And as the sun goes down, the village goes down. And about an hour after it's dark, everyone's asleep. You'll hear goats and things, and that's about it. And get this, and I fell into the cycle in Haiti when I was on the land again in a tent. I love sleeping on the ground, guys. It's amazing. But before the sun rises, I forget what time it rose. It was early. But about an hour and a half before the sun comes up, the village just naturally wakes up. You don't hear any. So because there's not noise pollution and light pollution, you can hear everything. So we're on this mountain. And so the people on this mountain over there, you can hear everything. So if the baby is crying and she's hungry, you can hear the baby across the mountain in the village there. So the whole village just starts to wake up. You can hear the kids shuffling things. You can hear water being fetched. You can hear people starting to light fires to cook. And it's about an hour and a half before the sun rises. It's a natural occurrence. So even when we're talking about things like we're feeling sleep deprived, we feel, like we don't have energy. A lot of that has to do because of the disconnect that we have from Earth right now. If we could connect back to the Earth, if we could get dark, when it's dark outside, if we could actually have darkness and connect back to the Earth, we would be in a natural cadence of life. So when you get in that natural cadence of life, you don't need as much sleep. In Haiti, I was sleeping maybe a smooth 6 hours a night, maybe, and I never felt tired. We had to go and fetch our water, but I felt hydrated way quicker. So that natural cadence of connecting back to the earth, that alone will get you to be a healthier state of being. If you're connecting to natural food, natural water, natural light, and it's hard in our society to do it all. Okay. I'm not in complete dark, when it gets dark, but now I have blackout curtains, now I understand the importance of having dark and light pollution. And if we can get just some of these things into our daily lives, you'll start to see how your life runs so much better. Blackout curtains, y'all, are a game changer. If y'all are going to sleep and y'all have lights outside of your window, even if you have curtains and there's a little bit of light coming in, game changer. Because the natural rhythm of the earth is that there's light when there's light and there's dark when it's dark. And we are so off of that natural cadence. If we could just put that back, you will see a difference in your sleep, maybe your dreams. It's immediate. Blackout curtains, it helps you get in the natural cadence of the earth. And eventually, you may not even need an alarm clock. That's a whole nother talk for another day, alarm clocks, and why I fucking hate them, because they're so unnatural. Anyway, getting back to the garden. Why it's so important to garden? I needed some water, y'all. Gardening is so important. So one of the things about gardening that I love is the shift that you have to have in mindset. One of the biggest shifts that we've had from not gardening is abundance. So if you think about how you source your vegetables, if it's not natural, and by natural, I mean you don't pick it from the ground, or you don't know who picks it from the ground. So most people right now, when they get their vegetables, they're going to a Kroger, a farmer's market, let me not say farmer's market. When I say farmer's market, there's like two types of farmer's market. There's the one where you actually go get produce from farmers. And then there's the one that says it's a farmer's market, but it's really a grocery store. The grocery store farmer's market are just like the grocery store. You don't know who is sourcing your vegetables. So back in the day when we grew our own food, the process to eating was put energy into a garden. And when the garden is ready to harvest, you get your food and you go and cook it and you eat it. That's natural. That's simple. That's easy. Well, gardens aren't easy. I'll take that back. But that's the natural cadence of how you should eat. You put out energy into a garden and then you get the energy back. And that's a natural flow. Right now in our society, how we get food is we get our asses up and go to work. And then we wait 2 weeks later to get paid. And then when we get paid, we take our butt to the grocery store and then we pick out vegetables. We have no idea when they were picked or where they're from. And then we pay money for these vegetables that are not even local to where we are. You see how unnatural that is? So unnatural, right? So getting back to growing food, it creates a natural pattern of living, especially created around your food. And when you are able to grow your own food, you are able to understand abundance. Why? Because anytime you have a garden, you're going to grow way more food than you can eat. Now, if there's way more food in the grocery store that you can eat, but you can't buy it, your mind has to not understand abundance because it's a scarce situation. When you go, say you're down to your last $5, but you need to feed 10 people, it's scarce. That's a mindset of scarcity. But if you go to your garden and you need to feed 10 people, when you harvest, you can come up with a dish. A lot of times that's, I won't say it's easy, but you can feed more people. There's always enough in the garden. There's always enough in the garden, okay? And that's just, it's really just how it rolls. So you really get back into that natural cadence of working for your food, okay? That is so important. We are in a society today where we don't have to output energy to get things. Think about it. We don't even have to output energy to get food that's already prepared, delivered to us. All we're doing is pressing buttons. And if you want to talk about an unhealthy way of living, that is not having to output energy to get something. That's the way the world works, right? In its natural state, in the natural state of how everything works. If you're in a relationship, you have to give in order to receive. And if you're not giving in a relationship, 9 times out of 10, y'all ain't gonna work. Okay, you're just not. Because somebody's feeling depleted, somebody's feeling unbalanced because someone is. Okay, so getting back to that natural cadence in food, where we output energy and then get the food back, it restores the balance of our food. And that you can only do that if you're growing your own food. Now, if you don't grow your own food, the next best thing is buying your food from someone who grows it and having a relationship with them. As when I started buying food from farmers, my whole game changed on food because now I can talk to them. I know what it is. I know what they're doing. I know what kind of manure my farmers use. You know what I'm saying? And I can't tell you just because I can connect to my food on that level, my food tastes delicious. I know what's going on with it, and it helps me to connect with it. Okay. It's really all about connections because I find that what most people need with cooking vegetables in a more natural state, eating more natural, is a connection. We're disconnected from the land, so therefore we don't know how to cook or use or store. We don't even know how to store our vegetables anymore. So creating that that natural cadence in your vegetables and growing foods and everything, it puts that back into place. And yes, you restore your mindsets of abundance with getting into nature. I love that. But yes. So the last thing I want to talk about with getting back to the earth, you guys, I don't think we talk about this enough, but our Black people, melanated people, we have been traumatized into leaving the earth. And so getting back to the earth is almost like a revolutionary, like we have to break these generational curses. Our people have been traumatized into putting their hands into land. And I have to go back to Haiti, y'all, because if you could imagine, that experience was like life-changing, right? In Haiti, guess what I learned? I'll have to talk to you guys about this later and show you it. In Haiti, I learned that the original cotton crop was a tree. It was a tree. So the cotton on the tree, it hung down. And not only was it a tree, you could reach up. You could reach up like that to pick the cotton, but it didn't have any thorns. It didn't have thorns. So you could easily get to the seeds because when it's, I'm gonna just use this as an example. When something's hanging, everything drops down, right? So that's what the cotton on the tree looks like. The cotton drops down. And so then the seeds are easy to maneuver to get to. It's an easy crop to pick. And so what happened when they brought cotton to North America for our ancestors to pick? They made it a fucking thorn on the ground. And that's traumatic. Every time we went to pick the cotton, we were getting splinters and getting pricked, and it was bloody. We had to be on our backs and on our knees to get a crop. That is traumatic. So if you have a whole generation of people who, when they put their hands into the ground, they're getting whipped. They have just horrible things happening to them when they're growing food. Then they're growing it for someone else. They're not even reaping the benefits. And if we want to talk about getting to the natural cadence of things, that disrupts nature. You are not supposed to be able to tend to land and not reap the benefits. That is not how nature works. So our ancestors have curses with the land on them because they're traumatized. We got away from growing because we were growing in unnatural circumstances. When you tend to your garden, you have to reap the benefits. That is the only way that nature works. When you put in the work, you get out the benefit. And we have a group of people who were disconnected from the way nature is intended on the land. So that in itself has created generational trauma on the land. I have a friend. My friend is 44 years old. His father, who is probably in his 70s, guys. I'm not talking about no old person. He is in his 70s. He was a sharecropper when he was young. He couldn't go to school because he had to pick cotton. And so there is trauma around growing things for him because what he knows about growing the land is missing out on school, not being able to do things, still not being able to, go out and live his life because he had to pick this cotton so that he had a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? So current day, he doesn't grow food. He's like, why would I grow food? Like, that's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? And that is a traumatic mindset. So we have to, first and foremost, start talking to our elders about their stories in the land. What is going on with our families and our disconnect with the land? Because whatever trauma that our elders have on the land, please believe it's in our DNA. And in order to heal it, we need to know what is going on, y'all. And we have to acknowledge it because there was a lot that has happened with our people in the land. And in order to get back to it, we need to understand why. Because it's just been so much trauma. So no wonder why someone like that would be like, why would I go grow food when I could just go pay for it at Kroger and it's already there? You know what I'm saying? So it makes more sense when you understand the trauma. And when you understand the trauma, it'll make more sense why you got to get your ass back in the garden. Okay? That's how that works. That water is so delicious, y'all. So yeah, that is my spiel, guys. Why it's just so important to get back to the earth. And let me touch on this right before I leave, okay? If you have melanin in your skin, you are people of the earth, okay? If you have melanin in your skin, you are of the earth. You are earth people. You are human. Your hue comes from your melanin, and we are people of the earth. And so, in order to get back to our nature, to our most divine, healthy self, we have to create a connection of what we come from. And we come from the earth. We come from the dirt. Okay? So, most important thing, if you got nothing else from this video, connect to where you come from. You are from the earth. And when you connect to when you come from, everything else that you were supposed to have in your life, you will remember. All of the memories are in the land and in the dirt. So go ahead and get your feet on the dirt, get your hands in the dirt, and go ahead and eat you some vegetables from the dirt, because all of that will connect you to who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. Health these days can be very complicated. We don't know if we're supposed to be keto, eating for our blood type, vegan, pescatarian, whatever. Whatever label you are, it doesn't matter, because if you start connecting to the dirt, it will lead you in the right direction. It doesn't matter. There's no label on the earth or to who you are. Connect to where you come from, and the rest will fall in place. Okay? That's what I got for you guys today. I hope you get barefoot and go touch the ground, y'all. It is so important. I love you guys so dearly. Thank you so much for tuning in for Wellness Wednesdays, and I will see you guys next week at the same time. Love y'all. Peace.